Welcome back. This is the video you were pumped up for. This is video 4 for Unit 4, and this will wrap down the information contained in the PowerPoint that you can find in the resources folder for Unit 4. So with no further ado, let's rock and roll. All right, go. So you'll see this content's coming from section 4. Now, honestly, from my perspective as the teacher, I don't know that I'm as reliant on formulas and phrases when you talk about how many items does a business have to sell to break even. And first of all, I think we should probably agree that no business just seeks to break even. Businesses seek to make profit. And that basically means the money coming in, that's often referred to as revenue, has to exceed the money that it cost to make those items, to generate those sales. So for us to have a profit, revenue in has to exceed cost out. All right, so that's my perspective as it relates, but we'll deal with your author's look, and here we go. Most books talk about costs in two contexts. There's fixed costs, and that's not relative to how many items you produce. That's just it's the cost to have the building, it's the cost to turn the heat on, it's the cost to turn the electricity on. It's a flat fee regardless of how many widgets your company might make. All right, so it's a cost that isn't dependent on how many things they produce, how many items that company might produce for sale. Variable costs are costs that are relative to how many items are being produced for sale. That would certainly include the materials that you got to pay for to make the items. It would include the labor, paying someone to make however many items that was. So those are costs that are dependent, that are connected to how many items are being sold. Some books do refer to those as flexible costs. Your author uses variable costs. Selling prices, hey, how much are we selling these things for? And if it's a good day, we'll have enough money coming in to offset our costs, and we'll talk profits. All right, contribution margin, if you want to hang out a word for us, is the difference between the selling price of an item and the cost that we incur to make that item. So in effect, you think about it this way. It contributes the amount we can use to offset our expenses based on the sales of each item. Okay. And if we sell enough items, then we're going to have enough to pay all of our fixed costs and we'll have a profit. If we don't sell enough items, then these contribution margins aren't going to be sufficient to exceed the total fixed costs. And then, as a company, we're going to take a hit. We're going to lose some cash. We'll break even whenever we sell enough so that that contribution margin can offset all of our costs, all of our fixed costs. All right. I'll let you read this slide. It's lovely. Basically, it says, is there a way for us to control costs? And again, I think you realize that companies seek to do that, as whether it relates to fixed costs or whether it relates to variable costs. Fixed costs, maybe we buy in bulk. We get a cheaper price per pound or a cheaper price per ton. All right, so buying bulk might allow us to decrease our fixed costs. Variable costs, maybe we can negotiate a lower price for our union contract. So there are ways that we can minimize our costs. And in effect, that you would think gives us a chance to talk about maximizing our profit. Obviously, profit tends to attract investors. Nobody's going to invest in my company if I show you my books for the last 5 years and I've only made $7 one of those 5 years. The rest were all losses. Sorry, don't be investing in Dell's company. All right, we'll take a look at an example. There's not a whole lot going on here. Dell's makes fine writing implements, and he sells these pens at $15. Now, it only costs Dell $3 to make a pen. So his variable cost for each particular item that's going to be sold is just the difference between those numbers. And that is, according to your author, the contribution margin. It's going to contribute how much it is that he can use per pen sold to offset his fixed costs. All right. So there you go. $12. Put it in context. Every pen sold contributes $12 that we can use to offset our expenses. And then hopefully, if we have enough pen sales, we'll be able to not only offset our expenses, but make a profit. So in the lovely blue text box, a whole bunch more words that just basically say that. So if Dell sells enough pens, he might make enough cash to get a profit, but only if he sells enough so that his sales will offset all of his fixed costs. So as we move into the extension of this example, and that's what you see on your screen now, the only number that's been added is the known fixed cost for Dell. This particular calendar year or fiscal year was $36,000. So the question says, if Dell's going to break even, how many pens is it going to take him to sell to go ahead and break even? So, all right, from previous problem, you and I know that the contribution margin on every pen sold was $12. All right, if he makes them and it costs him $3 for the materials and the labor, and then he sells each one for $15, in a sense, that $12 is going to contribute to offsetting those fixed costs. So if you're saying, well, hey, what's his break-even spot? Well, it's just pretty much what you'd expect. It's going to take the total fixed costs that you need to exceed and divide it by how much you're making to offset on each pen sale. So it's 36,000 divided by 12. And you realize that if Dell can sell, whoa, good words. If Dell can sell 3,000 pens, that would be, whoa, almost swell. So for us to break even in the context of this problem, for us to offset the $36,000 in fixed costs for this particular business establishment, being able to sell 3,000 pens would get you there. All right, so the break-even spot for this particular example would be 3,000 pens. You and I should realize if Dell sells more than 3,000 pens, he's going to make a profit. He's going to make enough to offset his entire costs, and every pen over and above 3,000 generates a profit to Dell of $12 per pen sold. If unfortunately he sells less than 3,000 pens, then his cost totals won't be offset. He would work at a net cost or a net loss. Enough of those in a year, enough of those year after year after year, and Dell's fine writing implements probably won't be in business. All right. So we're simply realizing that once you know how much your profit is per item sold, you use that to offset your fixed cost, and it helps you calculate your break-even spot. All right, this wraps down Unit 4. So your first activity that you're going to do is you're going to find some problems in the textbook, and you're going to crank out some solutions. You're going to send them my way. We'll call that Learning Lab 1 or assignment number 1 for this particular unit. And again, if you're finding difficulties, shoot me an email. Notice that the first part of this assignment is a consecutive problem chain from 12:9 to 12:17, then some selected problems along the way. There are going to be some extra activities for Unit 4, but this wraps our video concentration for Unit 4. I'll be back shortly with what's going to happen in Unit 5, which is going to be linear programming, and interestingly enough, it's the first unit we'll look at that doesn't come straight from your textbook. So we're going to be more reliant on Dell's knowledge and activity as we go. All right, thanks for Unit 4's focus and concentration. We'll see you soon. Bye.